Hey, in this video, I'm going to help you wrap up your installation of your Worship Beats product purchase for MainStage. In this demo video, we're going to be using Worship Beats Volume 3, but the process is going to be the same no matter which volume you've purchased. Check out this video and we're going to show you how to use these patches within Sunday Keys and show you a couple different options for how you can trigger, start, and stop these beats in a live music context. So I have Sunday Keys open here. Your Sunday Keys concert may or may not look the same as this, just depending on which version you're using. Again, the process is going to be the same. So we're going to assume that you've already gone through the install process. You've gone through step 1, and step 2 is what brought you to this video. So go ahead and open up Sunday Keys, and then you're going to create a new patch. It's going to open here, just be an untitled patch. And then down here in the patch library browser is where you're going to access your Worship Beats patches. Now, if you don't see the inspector down here at the bottom, then just click this little I in MainStage. We're doing all of this in edit mode. Go to User Patches, and then in this list, scroll down until you find your Worship Beats release. And so we have Worship Beats Volume 3 right here. And again, it's going to be the same process, just with a different name for whatever volume you purchased. And then here you'll find 2 folders. Reference files just contains a master backup copy of your entire download. So if you ever accidentally save over any of the initial presets or erase them or anything and you need to go back to the original, then you can go over here to Finder and pull up the actual folder, unzip the backup copy that's here in reference files when you view it in Finder, and then you'll be back to the beginning where you started. Otherwise, if you're ready to go, you're just going to click on the folder with patches in the name, and then you'll find all of the beats, all of the patches that are a part of your library here in a list. So to begin to demo them, just click on one, and it will load it right into Sunday Keys in MainStage. Now by default, these beats are going to be mapped to Section 4 of Sunday Keys, which means that you can layer 3 other sounds in the main sections and then 1 sound or more in the extra sections as well. So to go ahead and start a patch, just move the volume fader up. And you can do that with your MIDI controller, or you can use your mouse to do so. And by default in Worship Beats, the volume fader being moved up starts the beat, and the volume fader being moved all the way down to negative infinity will stop the beat. So this allows you to fade beats in or out, or also to just abruptly start them by moving the fader up quickly. And if you want to preview a different beat, just click back on your patch name here, so it's highlighted in blue, and then just select a different patch. And you can do this as many times as you'd like. So that's the default way that you're able to trigger a sound. So if you wanted to use this with some Keys sounds, you would just simply use the Patch Builder workflow, hold Command on your keyboard and select a patch from each section. So I'm just going to grab a few sounds here. I've got piano, I've got a pad, and we'll go ahead and grab this organ. And then just make sure that you grab from sections 1, 2, or 3 and leave space in section 4 for the beat. And then select New Patch from selected patches, and Patch Builder will create a new patch for you. And that's ready to go. So you can play. And then you can use these modifiers to dial the sound in, take things in or out, and really make the beat sit just right for you and how you'd like to use it. So that's how you can use these in a live context with Patch Builder. Now, depending on your playing context, there may be a couple different ways that you would like to trigger these sounds. For example, if you're just using 1 patch per song, then using the volume fader to bring the beat in and out makes a lot of sense. But let's say that you want to change patches, or you perhaps want to use multiple beats in the same song, and you want to switch between them in real time. So the easiest way to do this is just to simply move the volume fader up, and then save your concert by hitting Command S on your keyboard. And just do this before changing patches, and when you do, the next time you go to this patch, it will just automatically start the beat. So instead of having to move the volume fader, it's just going to start with the fader all the way up, and the beat will play as soon as you select that patch. So then if I wanted to perhaps move through a couple different stages of this beat, I could dial in some different settings. Let's say I wanted to start with sort of this thin beat here. I'm going to dial this in, hit Command S on my keyboard to save. I'm going to pull this up to the top. We'll go ahead and rename it like Song Intro. And then we'll name this something like Song Chorus. And you could do this with Patch Builder as well, so you could have your keys patches ready to go. So we'd switch to this song, or this patch, and the song would start in this way. And then when we jump to this next patch, it's going to jump to the next beat. Now the tricky thing about this is because MainStage's clock is not running, these patches aren't going to stay in sync with each other. So this brings us to our third point of discussion, which is running things, these beats alongside of MainStage's metronome. So anytime that you start MainStage's metronome, which you can do, or clock, even if the metronome isn't running, you can do that via this green play button right here. So when you hit the play button, these beats will automatically start playing. You can do this also by hitting spacebar on your keyboard, or you can map a button to the play action at the concert level. I'm going to do that here just so that you know what it looks like, but I wouldn't recommend doing it to one of the built-in Sunday Keys buttons. I would add a button somewhere to your layout if you want to be able to do this without having to use spacebar. But you just select that button that you would add in layout mode, and then go to Actions, scroll down, and then select Play, Stop. And then when you do that, you can play and stop the master clock in MainStage by pushing that button. I like to use my spacebar, but you may not like doing it that way. So when you hit spacebar, the green play button is going to be going. You can use the metronome by just hitting that little click button right there. Bring that down a little bit. And then when you change to the next patch, they'll stay in sync. So if you want to be able to switch between patches dynamically, different iterations of the same beat or different beats entirely, then you're able to do that via the metronome right here by having the MainStage clock running. If you don't want to be synced to this clock, or if you plan to just use one beat at a time, then we recommend not running the clock and just letting each beat run on its own, because then you're not tied to that source. If the clock is running all of the time and you turn a beat off, and you bring a beat in, it will be in sync with that clock. So if you like to be able to stay in sync to a metronome, if you have in-ears and you're running a click, then we recommend using this method, running the clock here. And if you're not using the MainStage clock or the MainStage metronome, then we prefer to just trigger them one at a time and then just follow them so we don't have the MainStage clock running. Now a couple more topics of discussion before we wrap up this video. You can set the time signature and the tempo of any of these beats patches in the Attributes tab of the inspector when you have the patch selected. So if you want to do the song at 98, you would just select that patch in your patch list, check the Change Tempo to box, and then type in 98. Of course, these will respond to tap tempo and Sunday Keys as well. One note about time signature, generally these patches will not translate to different time signatures well. So there are some patches that have 6/8 notated in the patch name. Those are designed to run in 6/8. And if you try and change them to 4/4 or any other subdivision, it's probably not going to make sense. It's not going to translate well, and vice versa. If you're doing a song in 6/8, we recommend checking out a patch that has 6/8 in the title. If you're doing songs in 4/4, any patch that doesn't have a time signature noted in the name is designed in 4/4. Now, lastly, if you want to save these patches so that you can come back to them, if you've made tweaks to them and you want to be able to pull them up into other concerts, you can always save a patch to your hard drive by hitting Command E when that patch is selected, and then you can choose a location to save it to. Now, if you wanted to, you could save it to your MainStage folder, go to Worship Beats, and then you could create a folder named User Patches inside of your Worship Beats folder. So I just hit Control or right-click, and you can choose New Folder, and then just save it to that User Patches folder if you'd like. Or you could save it if you're a Sunday Keys user to the user patches folder within your Sunday Keys folder. And then you could actually save it to section 4 of Patch Builder. There's no real rules or any limitations to where you can save these files on your computer. It just comes down to what makes the most sense for you and what's going to help you to stay organized. Now lastly, if you load these Worship Beats sounds into MainStage and you see error messages about missing samples, sounds not being able to be found, or if you start to play the beats and they just don't sound the way that they did in the demo video on the website, then this is because you are missing some of the MainStage sound library content. MainStage comes with a really big sound library available to you, but it doesn't download all of the content automatically onto your computer. So if you're running into issues with sounds missing, whether you hear them missing or you're getting error messages telling you they're missing, click on MainStage 3 up here at the top, navigate to Sound Library, and the quickest way to fix it is just choose Download All Available Sounds. If you've got some space on your hard drive, this is the quickest fix. Just go ahead and do that. It'll take a little time to download, then restart MainStage and you'll be good to go. If you're a little tight on space or you want to be thriftier with the space that you use, click on Open Sound Library Manager. I'll expand this window a little bit. And then we recommend that you have the drum kit, electronic drum kit, the World, the Apple Loops, Logic Studio 2, and GarageBand sounds all installed on your computer. So if any of those don't say installed, or if they say incomplete here in the status column, then go ahead and check them, check a box for each of them, and then hit install. It'll take a little bit of time to install on your computer, then restart MainStage, and you should be good to go. But again, the easiest way to fix this issue is just go to Sound Library and choose Download All Available Sounds. You can always go back in and uninstall sounds that you don't need later after you've had a chance to check out your library. If you still have questions about how to use Worship Beats after checking out this video, feel free to use the contact form on our website to send us an email, and we'd be happy to help. We hope that you enjoy your purchase. If you do, please tell a friend about it. Share what we're up to at Sunday Sounds. We really appreciate it. Thanks again. Have a great day.